morning, good afternoon, good evening. This video clip has been going the rounds in the social media. The issue of corruption is a serious matter. The question is, how are we going to end this case of corruption and misuse of power? The gentleman here is trying to propose a solution, and we can listen to him.
Munyika yedu yeZimbabwe muya mbavha huru ndi Emerson Mnangagwa. Mungabata zvinyitsi kuti mbavha twese kuti udzarepa azoba huku azoba mbudzi ng'ombe, but Mnangagwa Emerson ndiye mbavha huru muZimbabwe. Ndiye munhu aparadza nyika, ndiye munhu akwadanisa nyika. Handisi kuti masoja kana vachimusiya mukomana murume uyu vari kumusiyirei. Aungadzirira mbavha iwe usiri mbavha, aungashanda nembavha iwe usiri mbavha, aungachidzana nembavha iwe usiri mbavha. Ndiye anoprotecta vana Tagwirei, vana Sakupwanya, vana Nanekini uyo, vana Chivayo. Ndiye futi ari kupa matenda mbavha idzi. Nyika yeZimbabwe iri kuti isusu kuti tive vanhu vanowirira nezano kana kufarira zano, batai mbavha idzi muise mujeri. Iye Mnangagwa ari kuti azviti, anongotara nezvaChivayo chete tomuisa mujeri, anongotara nezvaTagwirei tomuisa mujeri. Ukaramba motikari unosungwa, ukaramba motikari unothreatenwa, ukaramba mari yaTagwirei kana Sakupwanya unothreatenwa. But upfumi huri kubiwa munyika hausi kuzobatsira mapato mamwe aya kana kubatsira zvizvaro zvenyika yeZimbabwe. Uri kungobenefita Zanu PF chete. Mbavha dziri kushandiswa naED dziri kuba mari iri kubenefita bato reZanu PF chete muZimbabwe, noti hurumende, noti nyika, noti mapato esa. Saka mapato esa aya havasi vadu muZimbabwe.
I'll stop it there. The argument that Mnangagwa is corrupt is not a new one. And the argument that the looting of the nation's wealth, the wealth that is being looted is for the benefit of Mnangagwa and those around him, is not a new one. And it's true. There is no denying that Mnangagwa is becoming extremely powerful thanks to the looting and the wealth that he's getting. I've said on this platform that Mnangagwa must have spent at least $5 billion in the 2023 elections alone. From all the chicken that he was buying, the hired crowd, passed from one rally to another, the sapatini chicken and chips, to the trucks that were bought for the chiefs and church leaders. And you go up the scale, MPs and senators received $40,000. He called it housing loan. Deputy ministers and ministers, $230,000 and $500,000 housing loan. And before the elections, all the judges were paid $400,000 housing loan. And these were all bribes. Where is he getting all that money from? From all the high-scale looting that is taking place. The Al Jazeera documentary gave details of how serious the problem of looting and corruption has become in Zimbabwe. They say that Zimbabwe was selling $2 billion worth of gold every year. And of that, 80% was being smuggled. In other words, Mnangagwa and his gold mafia friends were benefiting from the proceeds of the 80% of the 2 billion. That is in gold alone. So there's no denying all these things. What I disagree with our friend here is what is the solution, the way forward. His suggestion is that the army should remove Mnangagwa. This is where I despair. Here is somebody who clearly has not learned anything from the 2008 electoral coup, where the army, the police, the CIO, and the prison services, under the disguise of Joint Operations Command, were involved in the 2008 electoral coup. They did the heavy-duty lifting of kidnapping and murdering Zimbabweans during Operation Mavhotera Papi. The primary purpose of Operation Mavhotera Papi was to punish Zimbabweans for having dared to reject Zanu PF. Here is a reminder of Operation Mavhotera Papi.
2008 patakaita ma-elections pakaposa papinda Tsvangirai ndandiri election agent yapresident. Ma-results abuda tiri paparty headquarters vamutasa vanga vari secretary vedu veadministration vamutasa muripi ndafona ndiri kwarusapi komogwenda kwarusapi seka ma-results achibuda kudai vanga aiwa zvako izvo Mnangagwa ndezvako endaenda kumusha ofisi vanga vabisa zvinhu zvavo zvose watofunga kuti zani yadini yaparara. President ofona zvakamira sei kati ndomamira zvakaita takatodini katida sei manje mama tikati abvudzai baba nditaurira baba gadzirai politi bureau cabinet musarangarira zvimwe zvipi gadzirai chi cabinet asina kuda kuti muzive kuti 2008 ma-results abuda vamutasa vakatiza.
As a country we face a generational transition. Vana vesa vari kuma below 35, they are crying out for help. The country is in a mess. Arusuru, we know we are inheriting a mess. We know this country has been left with nothing.
I'm assuring you that starting from tomorrow, you'll see a different nation from what you have seen or read on the news about these results and everything. Where we are going ahead there, the situation will be very different. What we said to our people, they could not see with their own eyes. We are going to act as we see it fit. We are prepared to go the whole distance.
If the truth be told, Operation Mavhotera Papi would not have happened if it was not for the army, the police, the CIO, the prison services staff who carried the heavy duty work behind it. In the video there, we saw war veteran Zimbabweans. They were the foot soldiers. The heavy duty work was carried out by the army. They are the ones who are abducting people and killing people. Over 500 people, by some reports, were killed during that period of the runoff. If anyone had forgotten what had happened then, look what happened in 2017. The army intervened this time. They're the ones who carried out the coup. What was accomplished? They removed one dictator, Robert Mugabe, and replaced him with another, Mnangagwa. The very man that our friend here is saying the army should intervene again to remove. What makes you so sure that it will not be another musical chair? Remove one dictator to replace him with another. I think Zimbabweans should have learned by now the sheer foolishness of playing this card of the army. We should be asking ourselves, why is it that we have failed to achieve meaningful political change in Zimbabwe after all these years of independence, 45 years? And the answer to that is very clear. We have failed to make democracy work. We have failed to realize that Zanu PF is rigging elections. By the late 1990s, the people of Zimbabwe had come to the conclusion that Zanu PF was rigging the elections. And they made a conscientious decision that we must elect opposition leaders who will implement the democratic reforms to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. MDC, CCC have been on the political stage for the last 25 years, including the 5 years of the GNU. And yet, Zanu PF is still able to blatantly rig the elections. Mnangagwa rigged 2023 elections. There can be no denying of that. And now we turn to the army. Oh, come and remove him. Why has the election process failed to remove him? Because the opposition failed to implement reforms to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. And not only that, the opposition are the ones who were encouraging people to participate in these flawed elections, telling them, I have plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. And people participated only to give Zanu PF legitimacy. Why is it that message failed to filter through the beggar's belief? And so we turn to the army. The army should intervene and remove Mnangagwa. The most foolish argument I've ever heard. And we're just going round and round in circles here. We need a solution to our problem. And the solution is to implement the democratic reforms to ensure elections are free, fair, and credible. We can have a healthy and functioning democratic system if we are prepared to work to make sure that it is a healthy and functioning democratic system. We can't even implement the reforms. And we can't even stop ourselves participating in flawed elections because we are so foolish that even the likes of Chamisa can con us into believing that he has plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. Hashtag God is in it. And we have believed these idiotic lies again and again. I think we deserve to suffer for that. We have to wake up to the reality that we don't need a military solution to the problem. We need a democratic solution to the problem. Mnangagwa is just a dictator. We can remove him if we have free, fair, and credible elections. We have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections for no other reason other than the fact that we have failed to implement the reforms. The solution to that is to elect leaders who will implement the reforms. We should have the common sense to realize that, okay, the MDC, CCC leaders have failed to implement the reforms. Let's get somebody else who will. The solution to Zimbabwe's political and economic problems is democratic reforms to end the curse of rigged elections and bad governance. That is the truth. Why some people keep pretending that we can somehow solve it, our problems, by resorting to street protests, another military coup. In some cases, some people are even suggesting that we have another armed struggle. Beggars belief. The army is not going to solve the problem for Zimbabwe. If the army was to intervene right now, it will be replacing Mnangagwa with Chiwenga. That position has been made very clear. This is an internal Zanu PF factional war. If the army is given a role to play, they would want somebody with the army background in power. And at the present moment, it's almost likely to be VP Chiwenga. And let me say this, all we'll be doing there is replacing one dictator with another. We really need to wake up, to grow up, and stop repeating the same mistake over and over again. We do not need the army or the police or the CIO to interfere in the political processes in Zimbabwe. We just need to correct our political system so that it functions properly, so that we have free, fair, and credible elections. That is not an impossible task.